So, Edward, while we're talking about James Watson, you told me earlier that you actually wrote your trumpet concerto for Jimmy Watson. Is that correct?
I certainly did. Yes, I mean, and I was saying to you earlier, Paul, that I mean, Jim and he was a very, very good friend, and of course, we all know how tragic it was that he died well before his time. He was a great guy. He was a great trumpet player, and I shared many musical experiences with him, many actually, all the way from when he first joined the Philip Jones Brass Ensemble, when he was basically played mainly first trumpet. Philip used to tend to play second trumpet in those days, and so he played my brass quintet, for example, which I'd written for Philip Jones, and yes, so that's the first time really that I became involved with Jim, and he played my brass quintet, and then of course from there, well, there are loads of musical experiences, and then he commissioned me with, interestingly enough, the Wren Orchestra of London, of whom then the conductor was one Howard Snell.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the Wren Orchestra of London, who were owned, or was the orchestra of Capital Radio, I think that's true, which was a kind of classical music radio station then. They commissioned me to write a concerto for Jim, which he premiered at St. John Smith Square in 1983.
Wow.
Brilliantly, I might say, absolutely brilliantly. And by the way, here's a message for all brass players, actually, because I remember this very well. My concerto, for those who know it, or those who don't know it, it's a hard piece. It's hard technically, but it's not ridiculously difficult technically. What it is it's a hell of a hard blow. 21 minutes of a lot of blowing, pretty intense stuff. I remember, Jim, when I first did the first sketches and we got together, he said he went into training for it, and I mean that literally. He went into training, and he used to go out running and everything else to get himself fit, which is an interesting thing. He also, which is another very interesting thing, and I still tell this story about Jim. He asked, and I can't remember who it was. It may have actually been, I can't remember the name of the leader of the of Covent Garden. I think he was Covent Garden Orchestra then. He asked if he could go round to the leader of the string player, in other words, violinist. He wanted to take the part to a violinist because he wanted to see how the violinist would phrase the piece in terms of bowing. How about that? That's extraordinary.
Yeah, amazing.
Because he wanted to know where he would use a down bow or an up bow, and then Jim would adjust the kind of phrasing and breathing according to the kind of phrase structure. And I thought that was really interesting, that a trumpet player should take a solo trumpet part to a violinist.
Absolutely.
And it shows you what a wonderful musician Jim was, because he thought outside the box.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. We've done a few of these sessions now, and the phrasing thing and the breathing thing, they're regular. You know, we've talked about those subjects a lot, and it is so interesting.